Okay, I'm going to attempt to explain what the heck I'm doing here, but bear with me because it's been a long day trying to get this corner piece to do what you see it's doing. And I'm only about halfway through what I need to do. But, so what's really going on is every square, every cube has a 3 degrees of freedom to the origin. So there's an X, a Y, and a Z that's being handled by this little track. Every axis will have its own track, and they're going to be related with slider mates with a rack and pinion. Let me show you what that looks like. Show everything. I've only got what you see here done. So that's 2 edge pieces, or sorry, 3 edge pieces, and 1 corner piece. And it's already starting to get pretty messy. Let's see here. Let me try to isolate a few things so you can see what's going on. I'll do the yellow. Okay. So the yellow is only the top yellow end piece. So I started with all the end pieces and took them to completion for the complete solve, because then I could just watch where they're going and try to fudge my way through the rest. So what's happening is, let me take off this tangent here. Show mate. Press. Okay. So as the yellow piece goes up and down, it's going to get a clockwise or counterclockwise rotation on the top piece. That's through the rack and pinion relation for yellow. Edit, edit, edit. And I made sure to try to label as much as I could so I can see when I screw up. There's going to be a lot of mates floating around buried inside here. You can tell this isn't scripted, right? Okay, so this piece is going to be a slider mate on the very tip of this index piece. And this is what's going to be animated. This is going to go left to right, and as that goes left to right, this will go up and down based on the tangency on this path. Let's press. There we go. And this has a slider mate off of, I just picked the white one just because it's the simplest, fewest amount of bends in it. Just one of these edges right here. And I found out through those other animations, it's best to use a straight edge corner or a point. Because as soon as you start using a cylinder on the tangent, it tends to want to do weird crap, like flip inside out. So a nice flat line or a point, really it can't flip at all. Even if it did, you wouldn't notice. Let's see if I can play that. Let's go about 10 inches in. That's about halfway through. And about 700 steps went up. can see how this is going to get pretty crazy pretty fast. Now, the edge pieces here weren't that bad. Well, that was an edge piece. Oh, these ones are here. Okay. Sorry, I'm used to seeing a whole cube. This is kind of weird. So these edge pieces weren't that bad because their center of their axis always kind of stayed, well, at least for the three that I've done, it's kind of stayed always planar to the origin. When I got to the corners, that's where all hell kind of broke loose. And that's where you see these very steep paths. What's going on is the knuckle on the inside that's defining the, it's kind of like a universal joint. I pretty much have to flip it inside out on two axes at the same time so that the, in this case, the x-axis would be relative to the front face rather than being on that face. It's kind of hard to explain that without showing you, but I'm going to go through later and actually try to continue animating that edge piece or this little corner piece. And you see the steps I take to do that. So let's look into each piece. So every piece, this would be an edge, is going to have two parts overlapping. One of these square blocks, let me hide the other ones, you can see it, they're identical in size. So this one right here is going to be fixed, and its whole function is to be the y-axis, and it's going to be mated to another fixed piece in the main assembly, which is the origin block. So I get one rotation for that. The other two rotations are going to be done inside the sub-assembly. So that would be the top rotation. Let me go halfway and unpress that, or unhide that. Okay. So this rotation is coming off the top of the other block. You'll see the other block once I figure out which one it is. There we go. It's that way. Things don't like to move too good sometimes. So this block is going to be just a revolute off the origin of this fixed block. And then this block is going to be a revolute off the origin of this block. So that's how I get all three of my degrees of freedom. And you go through and label X, Y, and Z just to make it easier to track. And make sure you always reset before you start doing any of your paths for your little animation slider, because they're not always going to be at the reset 0 position when you create your mate, and it might be flipped completely 180 and you'll be scratching your head for a while. And that goes for when you insert them into an assembly also. Before you start your animation, just go through every single one and just reset them. Even the sub-assemblies, you'll have to go through and reset all those also. So when you put in a piece, let's say we wanted to put in another, let's create the next piece actually. What would that be? Let's see, orange green. Actually, I'm starting in the scrambled position, so I gotta look at my chart, see what one's next. Red. Okay, we'll do a red-blue piece. So I'm gonna start by duplicating this, just because it's a kind of a pain in the ass to do all those mates in the, even though there's only 2 of them, it's just getting my head around it. Rename. They're calling this one the blue. Red. my red sticker. I don't know which face it really needs to go on yet until I get in the main assembly. Because what I'm going to do is insert this in, reset all the mates, and rotate them as necessary to get this in position before I even start animating. Alright, so let's start by renaming these to what they need to be. Okay, let's go into the assembly, put in my red, blue. Oh, I called it blue red. Of course I did. Alright, our blue red piece. Let's unhide all the other blocks, which I only need the one that would be fixed. In this case, I made instance number 3. If we go into blue red, instance number 3 is going to be the fixed one. So that's the one I'll know is the one that needs to be mated to the origin in the assembly. Okay. So that one's the one I unhid. Now the very first part in my assembly is my origin piece, which you can see is fixed. And I got 3 mate connectors on the origin. I probably didn't need to put that piece in there. I could have probably just used the origin, but hey, what the hell. So this will need to go which direction? If I fix this, not that one. Yeah, that one. Fix that. Let's see which revolutions I have. So I have a top. I have front. So I'm missing the Y, which would make sense because these have all been Y so far. Go through here. And I find the Y axis, which I'm looking over here to keep my bearings. And I'm going to mate that to the same one right here with a revolute. And if it's going to fail, oh, because I fixed it. Derp. Okay, you see how it's kind of splashed in a weird position right now? So that's why we definitely need to go through and reset all of the that is a red, blue, y-axis. Now where did that go? Go down here. Where do I need it to be? I need it to be right there. I think, yeah. Oh, if you're wondering what I'm looking at, oh shoot. So I started off by just scrambling a cube, solving it, then working it out in reverse, and then it's like, why did I bother doing that? I just started just putting them in position. So at that point, I just drew up what the positions are from the top view, being yellow, translated all the permutations into just color, so I know what face it was. So I figured they'd be flipping around. And blue and red. So blue needs to be on top, red needs to be in front, in line with the other red. Okay. So I know I gotta rotate my Y. reason that flip things around. There we go, that looks better. Blue needs to be on top, which it is. Red needs to be in front, so I gotta rotate my Z. And I'll have to do that in the subassembly. Which direction? It was over here. Here's my origin. I'm gonna go 180 degrees around Z. Hit it 1, 2. Okay. Reset just for good measure. And reset these. There. So here is the position that shows up on the chart. Yellow, blue, red, red. Yellow, blue, red, red. So now it's free to move wherever we want it. Undo to hide that little part, but don't need it no more. So now, how do we animate this? Well, let's go into the storyboard. I started with a grid. The reason I did this is because I wanted to be able to scale it if it turned out to be too long. I didn't know what how long this was going to be, and if I need to make everything, compress everything by half the time, I'd have a hard time doing that with a whole bunch of individually dimensioned little wave functions. I don't know what you want to call them. So instead I took a grid and equally spaced them out with a pattern so that I can snap every quarter inch. So if I need to change that, it should be a nice quick, which I haven't had to yet, but it's a modification of the grid. So we need to roll to here. We need to make 3 planes to be animated. Once that gets done rolling up. And if you're wondering why I have everything in one part studio, I tried to break this out and use Sketch to try to make it easy, but it ended up being more hassle because you can't use a sketch with a feature script yet. So I'd have to have individually selected each arc and line, which I'd like to just select the whole sketch for an input for my sweep, because that makes it easier later, and you'll see when we get to that. So first I'm going to start by hiding all the existing sketches because I don't want to accidentally attach to them. And then I'm going to create on the front plane 3 sketches, 1 for each. This is a red, blue, X. Got a front plane, red, blue, Y. And a red, blue, Z. And I'm going to use this on each one. This first inch right here is just a delay. I figured I'd put it right in the front of the grid because why not? I'll go from bottom to top and start using. The reason I'm doing it this way is because I won't accidentally select the line that I used from Y. I'm always going to be selecting grid because that is as far as it can see, because these don't exist yet. If that made any sense. Use and OK. Okay, I got my 3 lines. Now we go into, whoops, let me roll to end. And then we want to create our profiles. So I've been using X, Y, and Z in these little segments. That way they're all next to each other. so they're easier to tell that they're, well, I say easy, but so it's easier to tell they're part of the same grouping. For the central pieces, I just made one thick bar. But for all these pieces, so all three of these represent one piece, if that makes more sense. Hide those. Bloop, bloop, and bloop. And we are going to sweep for X, which is at the X position. Sweep path is going to be red, blue, X. And red, blue, X. Shift enter, switch to solid. Red, blue, Y. Middle, sweep path, Y. New. Shift enter. Red, Z, sweep path, Z. God damn it. Don't assume I want to add. It's one of the most annoying things of this damn thing. Anyway, we go here. We name this to red, blue, underscore, save. So I don't want to type that out 3 times. X. Z. Alright. And so far I've been making them all the same colors. That's half of red and blue. I don't want to make it green. I will just make a stupid brown. Copy that. And hide that. Okay. Now, you don't have to, but I've just been making a new pointer configuration for each one, just to make it easier to find them on the final assembly. Red, blue. And paste in that color, and good. So now, we go into storyboard assembly. See, we'll have to reset even in this assembly. Reset. And reset. There it goes. Then we'll have to insert our parts. There's red and blues, X, Y, and Z. Oh, it's weird. Let's see, didn't want pointer. For X, Y, and Z. I'm going to group these for now. Let's group all of them. And then we are going to hide everything except for the white. And this. And these. Oh, can't window select assembly if you have more things selected. So let's try it again. And isolate. Okay. we're going to fasten for now this piece right here to the same corner. Say okay, and then we'll blow that away, blow away this group, and add all these parts to this group. Because these parts were made in the same part studio, I'm keeping them in the same group. Try to reduce the amount of mates. Edit, and X, Y, Z. Okay. Now, I've always been putting these, let me put them in the correct configuration. So that's the reason I would do the configuration, to change the name right here from being index to being whatever it is, white, blue, white, red, green. That way it's easier to find it when they're stacked on each other, so I have to go through the tree. Config to red, blue. Okay. Each one of these I put to mate connectors just because it's, you can put the mate connector directly on without it for a slider mate. It's kind of a pain to get it where you want it, especially being on the point of a triangle. So I just went back and started putting the mate connectors in, and it was a lot easier. So these will need index off. Those are going to mate to the index mate connector for vertical. So where are we? This is my X. It's on top because I've been doing XYZ the whole way down, so we're going to start with this one. X to here. It's going to be a slider. And it's going to be red, blue, X. Apparently only one of them. There we go. Red, blue, X. And just to make sure that was what I selected. Red, blue, X. It's the one in position. Good. We're going to move that up. Grab that edge. And give it a big mess. So let me hide all the stuff that don't matter. There to the X tangent. Oh, I can't do multiple sliders. Never mind. And I haven't been labeling the tangents because it's always going to be the last three in the list for what we're doing. Next one is Y. Here to here. I'll make sure I'm doing the right one. Slider. Vertical. So it is red. That's where this is the hardest part, or the most tedious part. Making sure you don't label it wrong. That's a long time to figure out when you did it wrong. Okay. Come up to here, find what we just mated, slide it up. Make that tangent to this. Okay, last one, Z. Slider. Here. There. Red. Blue. Z. Alright, a little bit of cleanup. Move these above the relations just because that's where I want them. So now we got to create each relation. And because we labeled them all the same way, it's just going to be easy as x to x, y to y, z to z. So relation, blue x, red blue x, to inside the Rubik's Cube subassembly, look for the red blue part, find its red blue x mate. We call that red blue x. Next relation, red blue y, and the Rubik's subassembly, red blue. Actually, the y's are in that assembly, so it's not going to be in that part. It's going to be down here somewhere. Collapse that so it's easier to find. There they are, these mate features. Red, blue, y. And I don't care which way reverse is yet. I'm going to set that after the first arc. Whatever way I know the cube needs to go, I'm just going to draw the arc in the direction of the end pieces, or the, I see the yellow, blue, and red over here. Whatever way those turn, the cube has to turn with one of them first. I'm just going to follow that in that direction, and then I'll reverse this if it needs to. Where was I? Z. Red, blue, Z. Up to red, blue, and Z. And red, blue, Z. Okay, now they all should be mated and related. My mind just went to a sick place with that last one, sorry. Okay, so now we can move this. Oops, actually I changed that. I made this part fixed, and I made the track move because it was getting hard to see the cube when I was way over here trying to adjust this little pointer. So making the track move, I was able to see what I'm doing. Alright, so the first delay, okay. So far we don't have to touch the blue piece. Okay, so here's the first time we need to move this edge piece, and it has to move with yellow. So we're going to go into our storyboard. Not that one. This one, Part Studio. And this was the yellow path, so we know we have to start moving right here. The question is, which one is it, X, Y, or Z? Because it's the very first instance, it pretty much can go off of this cube, so it's going to be Z, sure, but if you want to check, you click on the part. We can suppress these last three mates. I don't know why that one's attached to that. I may have screwed up that tangent right there. should have labeled tangents. Don't. I think that one's for, yeah, the red blue pointer. That's good. So it's this one. This is the corner piece that I was working on. So how did that work? That's not right. Bear with me for a second while I try to figure out what the heck I did wrong. Did I not tangent the last one? Is that the whole problem? That's X. Super S. Y. Oh, yeah, I just never tangent that one. I swear I did. And Z. Okay. And suppress. Okay, so this needs to move this direction, or this axis. Let's see which one's moving in there, and which direction it needs to go is up. It is the last of the threes, that makes it Z. So Z will have to go up. So let me unsuppress all of these. Come back to here. Find my Z path for the red blue. Edit. And make my first edit match this. Now, I'm not going to use the use statement because I want to make them independent just in case this needs to change, but I still need that. And only the first move really lines up with the existing. After a while, this is going to start making its way up here, but I'm still going to have to be relating to things down here. You'll see that later. So I start by drawing two lines. Hit I. It's going to snap these all to the grid. Tangent line on the correct side of that line. Hit T when to select, hit E when to select. Say OK. Now what I'm going to do is a move face, because as soon as you make a path and you have something tangent to it, the tangent mate will stop as soon as it hits the end. If there are no arcs and it's just a flat piece, the tangent will go infinity beyond both sides. So once it gets to this point, we need to extend it as far as we want to animate, basically. But I've just been extending it to the end of the grid with a move face. That way I don't have to keep messing with it. Which is a really nice feature I found. Because no matter what I do in the middle, it's always going to end at the same point, and it's just like taking a hammer to this thing and it just forms up, and no worries. Okay, so we got our first move. Go to our storyboard and you can see it already started moving. Let's grab this and continue animating it. See what happens. Right in the beginning. There we go. Alright, next one is way over here and the yellow moves. So that'd be the Z-axis again, but it's going to go the opposite direction. So this bent up and I'll be bent down. And it happens the next time yellow does it. So I'm going to turn on my yellow, which it already is, and there it is. So edit. I'm gonna draw a line. We know we have to go down. I here to there, there, there. Then take to there. I tangent. Bloop, bloop, bloop. T, window select, E, window select. Let that rebuild. And see that move face just makes it life so much easier. That's the other reason I didn't individually select lines. I decided to want to just select the whole sketch for my sweep. So it just saves 3 steps. Alright, so that's starting to move. Okay. More, you can see how much complexity this is getting. It's like harder and harder to get these things to move. Now what I could do is, I could hide most of these other pieces or suppress them. Suppress all their tangent mates, because they don't really matter. The only ones that really matter are these corner blocks, or not corners, axis blocks, I'm going to call them. But it's not too much of a hassle, so I've just been keeping them on. I'll probably end up turning those off later as I get farther into this. Yeah, you see I got some extra parts that need to be hidden. Oops. I don't want to hide that one, I just want to hide this one. And let's keep going. Alright, so the next one's going to be another yellow turn. So far it's been following yellow move for move, but alright, enough of the edges. Let's get on to the hard part. Let's go to that corner piece, wherever that one just ran off to. Oh, there it is, this one. The easiest way to get to the beginning is to hide all the tangent mates. That's another reason why I'm packing them all on the bottom, so I don't have to individually select through here. I'm going to suppress, and we're going to take the index and reset that. Then when we turn it back on, you'll see the cube goes to its normal spot. Unsuppress. So I don't know if I explained how that worked yet either. Alright. So our rack and pinion relation is, I flipped the right side. The farther this goes up, there is a dimension from the start point, which is 0, then it goes to, let's see, 1/4 of an inch. That's how long these arcs are. So 1 inch per revolution. So 1/4 inch would be 1 turn on the top. A turn is like, it's a 1/4 turn really, but a 1/4 revolution is 1 turn. Blah, 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 blah. So when I go up, the rack and pinion mate tells the revolute mate to rotate a 1/4 turn basically. I don't remember if I explained that or not, but I'm doing this in one take and I don't have editing software, so bear with me. What was I doing? Corners. Corners, corners, corners. So let's hide these parts. I want to hide. Alright, fine. Stay there. I was working on the red, white, green. And let me hide these. Why don't you use display states? I know, I know. So as you can see, some crazy shit's happening here. So what's going on is, when you get to a certain position, let me show you where that's at. Already at it. So I see I have these two axes diverging before I make the move I need to make. And that's because, let's see if I can recreate that. That was most of my morning, or day I should say. When this moves over here, without these moving, what happens is it moves in a weird way. Because that axis is already, or is still in this direction. I need that to flip. So what's happening is I'm taking this knuckle on the inside and kind of putting it inside out. And you can do that by taking these, and if you move them one at a time, actually they like to diverge automatically, I guess. Or at least they're doing that now. That changes where this one is rotating. Let me move this. So now you can see up to a point because they're still floating around. You see now it's going horizontal. But if these were both low, okay, now it wants to do it one at a time. So what's happening, like I said, I'm flipping this little piece in the middle, hide, so that this axis is now over here. So let me unsuppress this again. Unsuppress. And if I can, I try to do a nice arc before the next move. But in this case, I need to move it directly after, or something else is moving next to it, where like directly after this I have a move. Let's see, like in this case I'm swapping them right there, but it's because I came right after this move. I need to move again and I had to swap. That's hard to tell from what you're doing. Row. Why is that not lined up? Part of the same group. Oh, something happened with that. I don't know what's going on with that. Let me reset. I can't reset groups. That's fine. So yeah. So basically what you got to do is just suppress those last three mates on the one you're currently working on. And give it a nice tug in whatever direction you got to go. See what happens with these. If they start splitting apart, or if you see they moved off their line, you'll know you have to do either a converging or diverging set before you can move the final axis. And that's what's going on with those. So that's why corners are being a little bit hairy. But yeah, that's all I got. Really wasn't, like I say, it's not much to it. Once you know what's going on, it's just it can get pretty confusing pretty fast. I'm going to share this now, and hope you guys have fun with it. I'm going to keep working on it, try to finish it. So if you want to copy it and have it for yourself, you probably want to wait or do it again. But I'll keep posting, letting you see the progress. See you later.